And you can see kind of what's left of the I-74 bridge as it disappears into that very heavy rain. There is likely some hail that is also embedded with this too. Again, could be up to quarter size is what the National Weather Service is advising. So some good ponding of the water on the roadway there. It looks like traffic is slowing down just a little bit. I can also see a little bit of horizontal movement to those rain bands as it moves across the camera as well. So we're likely getting some good wind out of that too. Here we got another shot here. This is from the Beast, which is out. Our own meteorologist Morgan Strackbein and Josh Lamberty are both in the Beast, helping us track these storms as they arrive. It's all about getting that ground truth, making sure we can give you a live view of what these storms are doing so you can take shelter appropriately. You're seeing some good water on the roadway there. They've got the wiper on, so rain definitely coming down. Doesn't look too heavy in their specific location, but certainly the storms have arrived here in the Quad Cities. That lightning has been fairly wicked at times too. We've had some good cloud to ground bolts that we've heard just outside of the station. So heavy rain, low visibility, also some lightning included with this too. Could also be some hail. We continue to watch the hail tracker. It's actually gone down just a little bit since the last scan, so that's some good news there. But we still have a ways to go. We've still got all that storm energy sitting off to the west, and it's going to be between that 5-6 o'clock hour that we'll really be watching some of those storms out west to be moving in. Now, the one nice thing about this time of year, say then compared to a month ago, if this were to happen, we've got more daylight. That really helps us to see what's going on with these storms. We don't want these things coming in after dark. You can't see anything after dark, including tornadoes. So the fact that we're getting these now while we still have daylight, that is a reassuring thing. It'll allow us to more easily detain what is going on with these specific storms. But yeah, the view from the Beast right now certainly looks really wet. Some good raindrops coming down there. A good amount of moisture.
All right, thank you, Andrew. In fact, I just got a message from my wife, and she just picked up my daughter over at ORA, and they reported actually some hail outside of the building right there when she picked her up. So thank you, honey, for doing that for us. Really appreciate that. You know, it's great because that's the thing is because when it comes to, oh boy, that rain's really coming down from our Bridgepoint camera. And I was going to say, and you can see actually how it's being wind driven too. Look at that, my goodness. And you can see some of the cars on the bridge itself. You can't even see the arch. They really are slowing down. My point was that fact that, you know, there's only so much. When I go and talk to schools, there's only so much that we can see on the radar. So having these cameras out, having our chasers out is so, it's a great resource to have when you're dealing with this type of situation. And not only do we have the Beast out, but we have some local storm chasers that eventually we're going to be hearing from a little bit later on this afternoon, and they're going to give us certainly their version of what they are seeing. But look at that rain come down, and you can almost see some. It's like it's bouncing off the radar itself. That's the hail.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, if you look closely, that's bouncing right off the top of the building or that camera tripod, if you will. In fact, the National Weather Service just got a report of pea-sized hail in downtown Moline just moments ago. Okay. So that storm is definitely producing some hail. And I'm watching the velocity scan too. There is a fair, like you say, a good rush of wind just sitting to the west of Rock Island along the Mississippi River where it kind of curves there, right, west to east. That's actually moving in as we speak right now. So we may see the wind start to pick up here very shortly, probably about 5-10 minutes from now, if not less. Right now, Doppler radar estimating between 50 and 60 miles an hour coming in west of town.
Wow, wow. Of course, this is our, that was just the Beast that we just saw with Morgan Strackbein. Josh Lamberty actually is with them as well. So they're going to certainly make their way to the south and kind of hold its position there when especially that second wave make its way across the area. Let's do this right now. We're going to go to John Diaz and Shelby Kluber giving us an update on any potential power outages that may be taking place or other news that you can share with us.
Yeah, James, a little while ago we told you there weren't too many power outages, but that number really has significantly increased, somewhat significantly. There's 30 plus in the Quad City customers out now. That number was 2 just moments ago, and that's kind of just northeast of Bettendorf. So we're beginning to see some potential impacts from this storm, and obviously there's a lot of that activity is happening in that area. You were also tracking what's happening at the airport.
Yes, we're keeping a close eye on the flights coming in and out of the airport here in Moline. As of just minutes ago, there is 1 cancellation and 3 delayed arriving planes, but only 2 delays as far as departing planes. So it looks like it's pretty clear still at the airport. They still have a lot of flights on time for later this evening.
Yeah, and we're seeing a lot of, you guys report what you're seeing. We very much appreciate that. There's a lot of photos going around on social media as well of some of the hail that we've just been talking about. One thing we do want to remind everyone of, we do appreciate those pictures. Please send them in if you have them. But most importantly, do not put yourself at risk to take any of these photographs. That is the most important thing. So if you happen to have something that you were able to snap from a safe position, please send that to us. The app is the best way. You can also text it to us, 309-304-0888. But yeah, we do need the eyes kind of on the ground because, as James just talked about, radar shows us one thing, but we do want to see what's happening.
And we do have several crews out and about throughout the area tonight, so we will hopefully be bringing you some live coverage and some photos and some videos from around our WQAD viewing area as well.
Yeah, James, Andrew?
Yeah, let's go right to that tornado warning again, and we're getting update here that a brief tornado might have taken place in Kirkwood, Illinois. So let's kind of make our way right around here. This tornado warning is, the box is shrinking a little bit, but is out until about 3:45 for this particular area. Kirkwood going into about Monmouth as well. And it's really around the Kirkwood area that we're getting reports of maybe some rotation taking place. And I would say by looking at any type of little couplet that may be going on, it's hard to say here, but it could be maybe just south of Monmouth itself, I would say, Andrew, would you say right there?
Yeah, I think right just south of town on Monmouth there.
Okay.
As you head due south, I think that's where we've got a little bit of that rotation. Let's see if I can get a better view. There we go. If you switch to a different radar, it's a little bit closer. Yeah, there's definitely some rotation there. It is a favorable environment that this storm is in to potentially produce one of those, and it had a fairly good, what we call that hook echo, that kidney bean shape, if you will, just moments ago. Still, what I would say a little notchy, because you're seeing some of those spikes in front of the storm. So this may actually have a couple of areas of rotation, and that is certainly heading in for Monmouth itself. In fact, we'll go back to the velocity one more time, and yeah, I would say just east of 67 is where you've got some of that rotation. Now you have to remember, the farther away from radar you are, the harder it is to get the velocity reading because, of course, Earth being curved, that radar beam, it just shoots kind of into the upper level of the storm. So it's hard to see what's going on in the lower level, and that's why it's so important that we have not only the beast, but we have our storm chasing network as well that we utilize so we can see and get that ground truth as to what is going on. So it is still considered a very dangerous storm. We'll see if they update that with a confirmed tag. Right now it does not have that. We're still calling this radar indicated, but let's go ahead and put the track on this here as it continues to move off to the north and to the east. A reminder what I said this morning, today it's all about making sure you're taking action because we do have the potential for strong tornadoes of EF2 greater or intensity and long tracked tornadoes, meaning they are on the ground for a considerable amount of time. So a very dangerous situation. You don't want to be caught in a mobile home. Hopefully you were able to take that action earlier, staying with a friend or a relative. But if you are still in the mobile home and you have no other way out, get in the interior room, cover yourself with as many layers as you can, blankets, pillows, a mattress if you can. Even if you can get yourself in the bathtub as a last resort, that's better than nothing. Absolutely better than nothing. So folks that are in the path of this, it does include, of course, Monmouth as well. And eventually, if this thing continues to hold itself together, we could be talking about this eventually getting into Henderson and starting to approach the Interstate 74 corridor, including potentially near Woodhull, just north of Henderson, and of course Oneida too. So we'll see what happens with this. As you can see, it's fairly separated from the main band. In order to get these supercells to keep sustaining themselves and intensifying, we don't want to see them interact with other storms, and that's what's happening here. It's on its own, and it's not really converging or merging with any other storm systems. So that's why we think this is still going to have the potential to do something as it goes further off to the north and east. So again, if you're under that warning, make sure you're taking shelter and taking that very seriously. Let's go back to the severe thunderstorm warning, which does include the Quad Cities. This has 1-inch diameter hail. Just getting a report, pea-size hail now in Bettendorf just moments ago. Certainly some very heavy rainfall with this. Let's go back to the hail probability and see where that is now. Looks like it's moving into the immediate Quad Cities. We could see potentially some hail here at any moment at the station. That spike in the hail probability is fairly darn close to us when you're looking at the street view there, just north of the interstate. So it looks like we are going to get another round of hail here in the Quad Cities. There's the one that just came through. It's in Pleasant Valley now, but here comes yet another stronger potential for some hail. Let's see the hail size tracker. It's estimating probably anywhere from nickel size on down, but certainly it looks like that potential is growing here in the Quad Cities. There's bridge. So this is our camera here on top of the studio here in downtown Moline. Wow. Just whiteout conditions, very heavy rain. Wow. That is impressive. That is very impressive. So yeah, hail threat increasing. It's in Bettendorf right now. Just north of Moline, I would say north of the Tax Slayer Center. That's going to be heading for Riverdale, eventually Pleasant Valley. Remember, all of this today is moving off to the east-northeast. We put a tracker on that. You can see exactly where it's going to go. If you have a vehicle outside, you can get it inside. Not a bad idea. There you see Pleasant Valley in about 5 minutes or so, 10 minutes to LeClaire, and eventually 15 minutes until we can get that to Port Byron. So hail, also a strong rush of wind is a possibility. Kind of been watching that on velocity. As we get closer to the radar, things get a little messy, but it looks like some wind gusts up to 40, 50 miles an hour also possible with that storm too.
I got a message from Corey Marshall, one of our infamous local storm chasers in town, based out of Galesburg, and he actually has been looking southwest toward Monmouth. He's actually seeing a wall cloud taking place around there. So let's kind of go back to our tornado warning down here if we can, and noticing that wall cloud that's located like I said, he's just southwest of town, it's just southwest. So I'm pretty sure we're talking right here for that circulation that is taking place. So there is a wall cloud going on. Hopefully you are in your basements, in your safe place. A very dangerous situation right here as we're dealing with like nice little spin, nice little couplet that we see here, kind of that air kind of filtering in like so. Nothing is blocking it. We'll have to monitor this as this continues to make its way off to the north and east. Not too much that we're seeing here. Let's see, I would say that's really hard. It's kind of really broad here as far as seeing that type of rotation, but we could very likely be dealing with just off of 67 here, just south of town itself, as it makes its way off to the north and east. So right now, tornado warning continues for this particular area for at least a half an hour or so. Right now it's about 3:45. Actually, we got just over about 20 minutes or so for this tornado warning as it continues to make its way off to the northeast. Getting some blinding rain out of this as well. Might very likely get a quick quarter of an inch, maybe half an inch out of this. But it's blinding rain. You're talking about the rainfall rate extremely high here, especially just north of town. Rain is really coming down off of 67 here as it continues to make its way off to the northeast. Look at the rate that we see, close to 2 inches per hour. Okay, so breaking that down, given the speed that we're dealing with, easily you're getting maybe a quick quarter of an inch in a very, very short period of time. And that certainly make it very difficult to travel, especially along 67 or even parts around the Monmouth area. A 3-hour rainfall, maybe this will give us a better idea here too. And you can see when we get in that green color right here, possibly about a half an inch at least. The dark is actually maybe indicating close to an inch of rain there. Now, this is where, let's see, who do we got here?
We got Morgan in the Beast.
Okay, okay. Is Morgan mic'd up by chance? Okay. She's not mic'd up yet, but she looks like she's still traveling south on Interstate 74, I believe. And I'm just trying to guess. Hopefully we'll get some information on where she actually is. We're going to try and eventually mic her up. She should be traveling on 74, making her way down to Galesburg, and maybe even potentially intercepting that one storm that has a wall cloud with it just outside of Monmouth itself. I think if we're going to see, when it comes to reflectivity, sometimes we get a much better indication as to where that couplet actually is located. And I think this is the couplet right here. When we talk about couplets, we're talking about this is where likely the rotation of the storm is taking place. So
Morgan's by Orion, I-74.
She's where, Orion? Oh, okay, on I-74. Okay, that's good. That's good. So she's making her way down probably toward the Galesburg area, and we'll have to keep an eye on that because here's Galesburg right here, and we'll have to watch that storm as it makes its way off to the north and east. I have a feeling, Andrew, I'm not sure, but I have a feeling that this may be a storm that may be in a developing stage that's going to be tracking even more, that's going to hold its position. We'll see how that all turns out. But right now, Andrew's putting the tracker on. And once again, if it holds together even outside of the warning box itself, we're talking about places just outside of Galesburg within about 10 minutes or so. Watauga, Henderson, that's over, making its way into northern Knox County. That's Rova country as it makes its way off to the north and east. I understand Morgan has her mic all ready to go. Just want to confirm. Morgan, give us your location once again. Confirm that with us and tell us what you are seeing right now.
Yeah, hey James and Andrew, we are on I-74 just passing through Orion. So we're on I-74 heading towards Woodhull. We'll probably pause a little bit in Woodhull again as we are going to be watching that storm that is tornado warned kind of making its way through Monmouth. So we're going to go through Woodhull, plan to make our way to Galesburg. But again, I believe I do have eyes kind of on that storm that you guys are watching right now that is currently tornado warned. So we'll continue to keep an eye out on it here over the next couple of minutes. But again, we're getting very close to Woodhull, likely going to take a little bit of a pause there as we get this storm to kind of advance a little bit more.
It's very low.
Okay, Morgan, thank you very much on that. Keep us abreast. If there's anything, any changes that you see, please let us know. We even got a photograph from Roy Marshall, and hopefully we can get that. I'll try and get that sent to you guys so we can get that on the air. But definitely a wall cloud that we're seeing just outside the Monmouth area. So that's a big concern. That's the warning that we see right here with that storm. So definitely have to keep an eye on it. This could potentially actually extend a bit more off to the north and east as we head into this next hour or so. So that's the warning that we have until around 3:45. Of course, keeping an eye on the potential, too, of some quarter-size hail that may be taking place as well with that system as it makes its way off to the north and east. Let's make our way back farther northward if we can. And once again, focusing on this warning, and that has extended. And one of the things that Andrew and I were talking about, that don't be surprised if that extends its way farther north and east. And sure enough, that is the case. The storm is still holding itself together, producing some pretty strong winds, maybe around 60 miles an hour, blinding rain that's taking place, and even some hail. We certainly had that in the immediate Quad Cities itself. Fortunately, it kind of looked like, at least for now, nothing official, but at least we had some pea-size or even nickel-size hail that might have taken place in the Quad Cities. Let's kind of drag this a little bit more, because this is something I'm a little bit concerned about. Is you can see how the lightning is really being confined in one area. So this is where the dynamics are really blossoming within this particular storm. The good news here, we haven't seen any type of rotation going on with this storm. So the really big concern that we're dealing with here is the blinding rain and the potential hail that is coming with it as well. The storm itself is moving around 65 miles an hour, and certainly that will produce some good wind gusts from this storm as well. Taking a look at the probability of hail, not as great as what it was earlier, but certainly trying to expand a little bit. Given what we just saw in the immediate Quad Cities and the colors that we're seeing here with the probability, we're likely talking about maybe some pea-sized hail. That's some good news. Keeping it under the whole time, keeping it under that 1-inch category is good. And then with that storm passing by, look at that visibility has really improved. Is there any way we can actually pan that camera just a little bit to the east? Because, Andrew, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's kind of like nice little hail shaft that actually may be falling there. I can't tell.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what you're seeing is that hail shaft, the really bright white color on the right-hand side of your screen. The direction would make sense based on what we're seeing on radar right now, that it would be in that location, just to the northeast of the river itself. So I think that's exactly what you got. Yeah. Nice presentation.
Pretty incredible view from that.
Yeah,
that is for sure. And yeah, amazing. Just 15 minutes ago, you could not even see the bridge. You could not even see anything off the camera except a whole lot of rain and even the hail that was bouncing off the tower itself. Kind of making our way with the camera a little bit more off to the west. Yeah, things kind of for the time being calming down. But just remember, folks, this is just the first wave that we're seeing here making its way across the area. The second wave still on track to be arriving sometime around 6 or 7. Looks like some steady rain taking place. Looks like just north of town, north of Davenport, I would say, from just that angle alone right there. That way, but at least for the time being, for the immediate Quad Cities itself, things are improving nicely. But we still have by the clock itself, we have at least got good 4 hours worth of broadcasting here with the event of some severe weather that may be taking place. As far as the rotation is concerned, yeah, you can see we're able to put a whole lot of parameters on here when it comes to our radar. This one's called rotation tracks, or rotation tracker, I guess you want to call it. And right now, the rotation going on with that wall cloud that our storm chaser, Corey Marshall, has been keeping an eye on, it is showing that the rotation, at least for the time being, is weak. Okay, that's good. We certainly don't want this to get any stronger. Like we see, if we see any red or even some yellow that pops up, that will be a big concern. But right now, the rotation that we're seeing is fairly weak. Here's another observation of that as well. So that is some fairly good news. If anything does drop, it will probably be very brief at that we see. But right now, that possible weak rotation is now just east of the Monmouth area. There's a Highway 34 that we see, and then of course this is Galesburg right here. So if that continues its course, it should be just north and west of the Galesburg area. We just don't want to see that intensify even more. But as far as the warning is concerned, all warnings come out from the National Weather Service. So if they feel like that this type of structure is going to hold together, then they're going to very likely go ahead and extend it. And of course, we will very likely see that as well, and possibly even let other people know as well. But if you're in the path of this particular storm, even though you're not in the warning, be advised that continues to be a big concern right now. The rotation that we're seeing is right here. Ahead of that, you got the heavy rain. You're likely dealing with some of the hail going on here and some of the lightning that is taking place. So time is out for areas around Henderson in less than 15 minutes of potentially seeing the storm moving very quickly. So I want to advise you, if we start seeing this extend even more, then the sirens are going to go off. Don't try and look for it. The sirens are out for a reason. And that means to take cover right away, okay? Get to your safe place right away. That's the reason we have the sirens. It's just not for tornadoes, okay? Because sirens usually go off if the potential is there for any damage to take place. Property, maybe life as well. That's why we have those sirens that go off, not just for tornadoes. As far as taking a look at the velocity, able to give us an idea of any type of couplets that may be going on. Not too much that we see here. That's some good news. But within the warning itself, it's probably right here, just around 140th Street and just northwest of 180th Avenue, just east of Monmouth. So that's what we're kind of keeping an eye on right there. Fortunately, for the time being, it is on the weak side. Let's go and expand this picture out a little bit more if we can here and show you what's been taking place. Of course, we've got this first wave here still making its way across our area, especially along and east of the river. A nice break, had reports of even some sunshine begin to pop up in between these two waves. And of course, that second wave that we are definitely keeping an eye on. And already there's still plenty of warnings taking place there. Severe thunderstorm, tornado warnings. Right now they have around Ottumwa. That's where we're seeing that tornado warning. Help me out here, Andrew. The hail size, 2.75.
Baseball.
That's close to baseball. Yeah, it's taking place there. Pretty impressive that we're seeing that that type of size, and certainly the tremendous amount of shear that is going on as well. Let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and toss it to John and Shelby. Give us the update as far as maybe the potential power outages that may be going on, or any other news they can share with us. Guys?
Yeah, so we actually have some photos and videos coming in from viewers across the Quad City area. We want to be able to show you some of these right now.
Yeah, if you guys can take my PC here, I can show you kind of what we're seeing a little bit. A lot of it has to do with hail that is coming down that folks have taken. I don't know if we can pop that up by chance. Okay, doesn't look like we're able to, but if we can hopefully get into the system, what we're seeing, as you just talked about, guys, hail that is larger than a quarter, and people are holding this in their hands. That would be around the Ames area, Ames, Iowa. We're also seeing some flooding. We have pictures coming in from flooding from Bettendorf as well as from Milan as well. I believe it is from 1st and 4th Streets in Milan that we're seeing some of these flooding, as well as the middle of Bettendorf. We have some photos coming in from viewers. Again, if you want to send those in, you can always text them. The number is 309-304-0888. You can email them to WQAD. You can check out our Facebook, any of us, Andrew, James, anyone that's here. You can always send your photos and videos that way.
Do we have any updates on the power outages?
Yeah, those numbers continue to increase. You know, the number of outages, at least from Mid-American, on the Iowa side of the Quad Cities, that's kind of holding steady, but we're now seeing more outages on the Illinois side. So presumably, and it's kind of all in the path of this storm and these cells that we're kind of watching. Yeah, be very careful. Know that this this is affecting things, and also obviously this is maybe not the time to go out, but just also know that a lot of businesses, government offices are beginning to close their doors if they haven't already. So double check if you're going out, because maybe it looks fine outside for you right now. We are getting reports that some folks are seeing sunshine, they're seeing nothing but calm where they happen to be. But that doesn't mean that perhaps businesses and other places that you might want to go are making some decisions based on the possibilities of these storms.
And we are seeing some more delays coming in from the airport in Moline. We're seeing another flight delayed. There's still only one flight that's supposed to leave later tonight at 7 o'clock. That one is still on time. Everything else is delayed right now. A lot of arrivals are still delayed. We only have one cancellation at this time right now. But again, please be safe. It might look calm right now, but like James and Andrew said, there's a lot more still coming to our area. Guys?
Thank you very much, guys. Really appreciate it. Keep us up to date. Of course, this is our Bridgepoint camera that we see, which is located in downtown Moline. We can go right to the radar once again, because I think people want to see what's going on that radar. And yeah, still very active. Still got some warnings that are going on as well. And you can see from just north and east of the Quad City. Of course, everything calming down for the time being in the Quad Cities. Right there. Still got some flashes of lightning still taking place. But this storm is now advancing so quickly off to the north and east. Got the warning out here now until 4:15. Which covers Clinton, Morrison, Erie, Prophetstown, and just outside of the Sterling Rock Falls area right here. This has had a history of producing some quarter-size hail, some very blinding rain that has been taking place, and of course a lot of lightning to go with it as well. We put the tracker on this, and you can see the towns that are going to be impacted here in just under a minute now. Comanche, but Clinton, you're talking about 10 minutes when it gets to your location. Around Sterling, just over half an hour, as well as over in Milledgeville, if it holds, of course, its present course. But certainly don't want to be driving in this kind of weather, especially with the fact that the rain has been really coming down, has been quite blinding around the area as well. So right now, that is the warning that we have, at least impacting areas right near the Quad Cities and points off to the north and east. Let's expand this out a little bit more if we can. And let's do this first. I mean, let's go ahead and put a little velocity on here, because we really haven't, we always want to verify on that. And you can actually see from this standpoint right here that we talked about that this is a storm that's also trying to produce a little bit of wind coming down from the storm, and we're likely kind of seeing that right here. This could be a good rush of wind coming down from the storm itself that continues to make its way off to the northeast. So a grab bag of extreme weather going on here with the blinding rain, hail, and a good rush of wind as well. The storm's moving around 60 miles an hour as of last check. So any wind that may be coming down from this storm could up it just a little bit more, and that has the potential of maybe doing some damage. But you can see actually producing its own little front with it as it makes its way off to the north and east. The only concern that we have with this, we don't want to see any type of twist along that boundary to help produce a little couplet on the radar, which would signify some type of spin. Because keep in mind, the atmosphere is ripe for some decent shear to take place. And we talked about the word shear. We're talking about a change in speed with height. That's speed shear. We also have directional shear, a change in direction of wind from surface to loft as well. Okay, so that's what we have to keep an eye on. But that's really the warning that we have here. New warning we have here as well, going into the Bureau County area. And I'm not sure how long this warning has been up. Taking a look at the clock here, I think it just came up, didn't it, Andrew?
Yep, just got that out.
4:15 this afternoon. Hail size certainly bigger than quarter size, dollar size, I believe, So with that particular storm, wind speed around 60 miles an hour, all this is radar indicated. So kind of like we saw with the storm that came through the immediate Quad Cities, you're talking about some hail, you're talking about some blinding rain, and you're talking about those winds maybe gusting around 30 miles an hour. And wow, look at that, around Stark County, that's Bradford right there. That is some hail that is taking place. As far as the size is concerned, bright green that we see here, that's close to 2 inches. That's a golf ball size that we're seeing outside of Bradford. And it's amazing too, because we just scanned this area, Andrew, just not too long ago. And that's an indication to us that these storms are quickly erupting in a very, very short period of time from that activity that we've been seeing recently. So that has some good hail with it outside of Bradford. You can see now just getting ready to make its way into Bureau County. There's Tuscarawas, there's Princeton. So we put a tracker on this. And sure enough, there we go. I'm pretty sure this is going to hold together too. Around Depew, about just over 20 minutes from now, Tuscarawas. Oh, love the town of Tuscarawas. Love the people in Tuscarawas. Just over 10 minutes expected for you guys. So do take shelter. Hopefully you got that car in the garage. We certainly don't want any damage on your hood. But wow, that thing continues to expand even more, Andrew, making its way toward Tuscarawas. Hopefully it stays just outside of the Princeton area going in the next 15 minutes. So that is a big concern with that storm as it makes its way off to the north and east. John, I believe you have some info for us. Shelby?
Yeah, I just wanted to show you this picture, James, and you had already seen it. This is from Corey Marshall, but we just wanted to show viewers what they're seeing over there in Monmouth. But we also have just a variety of other things, some of these hail pictures that you're sending in, which is fantastic. But it's just remarkable to see the size of these from various areas. This is from Peoria.
Oof.
And this is kind of some of the flooding. This was in Milan. This was in Ames. See if we can play this video. Just to give you an idea of how much it's coming down. You can see it's kind of covering everything there.
That was about an hour ago in Ames, in central Iowa.